There's only one question on Slido right now. We will do this by a show of hands, but if you make me have to ask the questions myself, then it's not going to be a fun day for the committers. Do we have more microphones for questions?
We've got a plan.
This chair is super comfy.
Yes, it is.
It's a good use for it. We've tried it.
Awesome.
It works. I'm serious.
I believe it. Where's the... do we have more microphones, or is that it? Okay. Then...
No, we're fine.
what we might have to do is pass two microphones between you and have one in the audience, one for me. I get one all to myself. Or you could submit questions to Slido.
Please do send questions to Slido.
Please do. Okay, so the first question, actually, before questions, I would like for Manoj to start introducing. What is the special thing we're going to do this year? Last time we did introduce the person to your left. What do we do this time?
Am I right?
Very creative, Manoj. Thank you. How about your first involvement with Selenium at this level? Tell us just a 10-second version of that story.
Right. Hi, everyone. Manoj. I've been... Hi. Cool. So I've been doing random things at Selenium for a few years now. Started with documentation, writing what's Selenium 2 a couple of years back. So that's my first involvement with Selenium open source contribution. And since then, as I said, doing random things, contributing to the Node.js bindings, running workshops, helping run the conference, Docker Selenium. Yeah, I hope that sums up a few random things.
No, that's great. That's great. Tomer?
Yeah, hey people, I'm Tomer. I don't know, something at this level, that's the first time I'm in SeleniumConf, so...
Yay!
So this thing. Thank you.
Hi, I am Diego. I got involved with Selenium since the Austin conference 1.5 years ago, when I saw the committers panel and Dan Davidson was sitting here, and he said, the question was, what would you say to people? He said, I need help with the Docker Selenium containers, and that's how I got involved. And afterwards, I just continued helping with the grid and so on.
Hi, my name is Titus Fortner. Let's see, it was about 4 years ago in October. I had a problem with a test, figured out that we were using water as a test automation framework on top of what we were doing, and there's a bug. Let me fix the bug. This bug actually can't be fixed because there's a problem in Selenium. So I made a commit to fix the problem in Selenium, and then I just kind of kept hanging out with the project on Slack, and then when Yari decided he didn't want to do as much, then I said, hey, I'm here. I've been pretending to do important things for a few months. I'm sure I can figure out this Selenium thing, and just kept writing code at some level of competence until well, other people stepped in and started helping as well. We've got like 3 committers in the Ruby bindings right now that are helping out, so that's really nice.
I'm Ashley Huntzberger. I am not a committer, but I am on the steering committee. I work really closely with the Software Freedom Conservancy and the other members of the leadership team. I like to call it more the glue work. You guys are like herding freaking cats. And I love you very much for it, but sometimes I don't. But I also am the co-chair of this conference, along with Marcus Merrill. So you guys are where I spend most of my, at least 25% of my week trying to wrangle things, but I love you dearly.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I'm a Selenium committer. I told a lot of the story about how I first became involved in the project the other day. What I didn't say was that I originally started with the .NET bindings because they weren't complete. There's a little story behind that. You've heard Titus talk about Water, which is a Ruby library that wraps WebDriver. And I saw what Yari Bakken had done with Water, and I said, that would be cool to have a library like that in .NET. So I said, well, okay, I guess we need .NET bindings. And then I'll eventually get around to writing the wrapper library. And, well, 1 out of 2 isn't bad, right?
You driver.
Hi, I'm Simon. I first started getting involved with Selenium when I wrote WebDriver. It seemed like a good idea at the time. Thank you for sharing, says Jim. Involved with the Selenium project itself was when Jason and I got tipsy at GTAC in 2007 and decided we were going to merge the projects. Then they needed someone to ship Selenium 1 before we started on Selenium 2, because numbers work like that. And so I helped push Selenium 1 out the door, specifically so we could start on Selenium 2.
Great, excellent. One thing that we can do on Slido is actually vote questions up and down so that we get an indication of, take the temperature on how much people want to answer these questions and how much they don't. One question that I would certainly upvote if I were in the audience is the question about what will the Selenium project do to increase the diversity of the committers group. Feel like at some level I have some responsibility to help answer this question as well, but I want to know if we can quickly just run down a couple of ideas, specific things actions that we can take as a leadership committee to help encourage that involvement level from the committers.
I'll start then. I was having a great conversation with Kim last night, who was setting me straight on a whole bunch of stuff. So I think one of the most useful things that I could do is sit back, listen, be told various things that people need to say, and then go to the people who we would like to involve with the project and give them the space and the opportunity to do commits or get involved in any way they want to. I don't think it's enough to just sit there passively waiting. And that was made very clear to me last night, and I appreciate that, so thank you.
I think that one of the things that we can do as a project and as a group as the project leadership committee, we need to establish an outreach system or program where we are able to actively reach out and visit with underrepresented and marginalized communities to let them know, hey, this project exists, and that the contributions are valuable, that any contribution that folks can make, and help them to understand, hey, this is kind of how you get started and where you can come to let us know or to get involved and start to get involved and help to commit.
Have we got all day? Those are two really great things. Thank you. I think that it takes work. It's not a just sit back and say we believe in these things, which we do believe. Are you prepared to pair with people and do pair programming with them? Have you found somebody that you think you can do that with, or a mob program, and start making the commits that way? If you are a company and you're building a product that uses Selenium in the underlying tech, are you giving people time to commit to the project and contribute that way? It's a lot, especially as a woman. I don't know about anybody else, but at the end of the day, I'm shot. I'm a working mother of 2 small children. I don't have time to do other things after work. So are you helping build that into their schedule? So as companies, you can do this as well, not just within the committers group. There's so many things we can do to build that diversity. But really, my intent, having done the programming for the conference, and really that's where my heart and soul has been, I firmly believe in C1B1. And if you're seeing people on stage, hopefully you feel that you can become part of this community. It was a scary community for me to join even 2 years ago. And I'm not you guys are scary, but in general, you are a little scared. But there's just so much we can do. Take the emotional labor off of people, help them with that. But do sit back, make the space, sponsor somebody. There's a very big difference in mentorship and sponsorship. So help get them through the door and help them find that way.
Absolutely. All right. Speaking of becoming involved, somebody missed the Fix a Bug, Become a Committer workshop. They want to get involved. There's a very long waiting list for that workshop, I believe. So how do they get started? What's the best, couple of steps you can take? And we can just, 1 or 2 answers on this would probably be good.
Well, one question I want to ask, is there a reason that we can only give this workshop at the conferences? Maybe finding a way to do more of these, either I'm willing to travel to talk to people about testing, and maybe this is part of the last question, is we don't have to have huge workshops necessarily at the conferences only to get people. I mean, learning to build Selenium is not trivial because of our build system and some of those things, and it does require help. But to answer the specific question that I always put out there is run the tests. Figure out how to get the tests running, run them. For a while, Clayton told me that for a while I had over half of the bugs filed for the Microsoft WebDriver were mine, because I just constantly was running the tests at every single version that came out. I'm like, what does this compared to the last one? I'm like, here's the differences. And I just did that constantly. And anyway, run the tests, help find coverage problems, and I think that's a great way to understand what's going on in the code base in general.
Cool. So one of the things that I promised that I would do during the Fix a Bug, Become a Committer workshop was write up some cliff notes on how to actually get started, because it turns out we don't really have those. So that would be one useful thing that I could do. It is an incredibly hands-on course. Like, the original build is quite hard to get up and running, particularly on Windows. And so you just need someone who's been through that process to sit with you to help you get started. The reason why I don't do that course very often is because I get 2 days every 2 weeks to perhaps work on Selenium. And it's quite hard to set aside that time to do that. And I can't really travel far from where I live, which is London, finest city on the planet.
Agreed.
And so that's why I don't do that very often. And sometimes people say, would you like to do it as a webinar? And it's like, no. Because there are so many little interactive issues where something goes wrong and it's like, I know what this is, I could fix that in a second. But if you're doing it in a webinar, you're basically sort of talking into the void.
It also can't just be Simon, Jim, and Titus who can give that workshop. We need to fix that problem too.
I also have one small thing to add as far as a quick way to get involved. The project has an active IRC channel, Internet Relay Chat channel. It is #Selenium or #Selenium on Freenode. The IRC channel is also mirrored on Slack. And you can, if you're already using Slack at work as your messaging, you can simply join the Slack channel, and all of your conversations will be mirrored back and forth between Slack and IRC. And so those of us that use IRC can communicate with those of using Slack and vice versa. And that's a great way to get immediately involved in the project because it's real-time communication with all of us who are there. I'm on the channel most business days on U.S. East Coast hours because I live in Tampa. So, for example.
Do we want to mention docs and community and conference? I was just saying, do we want to mention how to get involved? It's very code heavy, right? Because it was Fix a Bug, Become a Committer. But there are ways that you can get involved with a project that don't involve writing code, like documentation, right? So go to github.com, download the docs repo, read it, weep gently at how awful the documentation is, and then send a patch to fix it. And that would be one thing. community. Like, the whole thing is also about user and user support and figuring things out like that. I don't know how to bootstrap that because I'm a nerd. And clearly I shy away from people. But there are user groups and support groups like that, and I guess Marcus or Ashley might have some comments about how to get involved with organizing the conference.
Just write me. We need help.
We need mostly help in reviewing papers.
Yeah, we get minimum 250 papers per conference, and it's a lot. So I'd really like to get it where, we're not burning people out twice a year to review them, as fabulous as they are. Yeah, we'd really like that. But we also have a lot of, especially local or, volunteering to help find places for venues for the conference. Those are very helpful too, like when we have our speaker dinners or events, or just helping people around. We've seen a lot of people in the lovely pink shirts that were also local volunteers. I mean, we cannot do this without people that want to get involved and just help. So to those of you that have, thank you. I don't know what else to say.
I just wanted to add a small thing about the getting involved and the diversity. I think we are not in the best place, but we are getting better. For example, I'm a proud Latin American. I'm Colombian. I am part of this team as well. And one of the efforts that I invite you to do is to spread the word about Selenium and do meetups in your local language, for example. One good step is that the conference is going to Tokyo. It's going to a new culture. One of my dreams is that someday it is done somewhere in Latin America in Spanish language. So this is something, a good way that how other communities are getting involved.
Excellent. So I have, it's interesting, I have a question and an answer, which I don't know. So Aslak, our keynote from this morning, asks, do we have a rough idea how many people are using Selenium? The question got, I think, downvoted or removed, but there was an answer from Captain Obvious. Thank you, Andrew. Who said it's 110 plus million people download so far across the main languages.
As of last year.
Yeah.
You know that we stopped supporting Selenium RC, like we told everyone to move off that, and Selenium 3 was like, hey, we got rid of that, and Selenium 3 is like 1 million years old now. I looked at the numbers. This month, 300,000 people have downloaded the legacy bindings, which gives them access to the old Selenium RC APIs. Like, what? I don't understand that. But it's indicative of an absolutely shocking number of people using that thing.
This question always comes up, and it's always fun to answer. I do want to time box it a little bit because we are running out of time. But what is the weirdest use of Selenium you've ever came across? Could you do it in one sentence? You can't, but can everyone else do it in one sentence?
Finding a new Selenium IDE committer because he wanted to rig a poll at his school.
Using Selenium to retrieve medical records from a medical practice for a practitioner because the EMR provider didn't provide an API to actually get that data out when they wanted to change EMR providers.
That was his wife that did that.
Can't say I've seen it, but I'm thinking I really need to use it to fill out my timesheets now.
Going old school.
I don't think it's necessarily weird, but just people who can't understand why they can't automate their CAPTCHAs with Selenium.
I just, from the top of my head, like there was a person downloading the same file 2 times to see if the result was the same one with Selenium. But
I had the killer use case, but Simon took it.
Say it again anyway.
Yeah, use Selenium to win a poll on the break song.
Well, so I had an interesting experience working with a guy. I don't want to name him, but he asked me, can you teach me Selenium and Selenium Grid, how it works? And I was passionate enough, and I was telling them how to do. And after a few months, he came down and say, well, I'm earning a good amount of money. And I was like, oh, that's good. I'm glad I can help you. And I was just keen on understanding how he is doing it. And I found out that there's an app called Airtasker in Australia probably, and he's been doing Facebook likes, like 500 likes for $10. I was like, what? So it's been managed with, say, he's using 50 iPhones and like some Android phones as well, hooked up on Selenium Grid. I was fascinated and astonished to see how reliable it is. That's one thing. And also the weirdest, again, is to see how it's getting money and getting likes up for the pages. So yeah, that's one of my experience.
I once used Selenium to enter the little codes you get from the bottom of bottle caps from Coca-Cola to earn points, loyalty points, because there's all these dialogues that come up and they have to be dismissed in order to move on because they're advertisements, and you can only do 5 per page and then you have to hit next. I wrote a little script that actually just automated the entry of all these caps, so I didn't have to deal with any of that. We have a live question.
Yeah, sorry for circumventing the awesome app, but it's sort of tied into what you guys were talking about regarding getting people involved. We can't, or you, Selenium can't be the only one with this problem. Aren't there other open source projects that we could be looking at, see how they're trying to fix this, and maybe copying what they're doing? Maybe, perhaps? Are we talking to other open source projects about this kind of stuff?
So we are part of the Software Freedom Conservancy. We do talk to some of the other projects who are also members of the Conservancy about this. There are challenges, like everyone in IT is suffering from a lack of diversity. You take a look at even the sort of superstar employers who can have anyone they want come and join them are really struggling to be anything other than, homogenous groups of individuals based in San Francisco. Which it's just it's a difficult problem that's going to require some creative thinking. And I think one of the things that's happening is, with the sort of conversations that we're having, with the sort of, hashtag pause the scene, with this effort to make us more aware of where we need and where we can improve, slowly things get better. Like if you came to the first Selenium conference, we're not perfect, right? But this is a far more diverse group than we used to be. And we are slowly getting better, one step at a time. The problem with gradual change as well is that it's gradual and you never notice it until you look back and you go, hang on a second. We've actually come quite a long way. The work that like Ashley and Marcus had put in organizing this conference has really helped. And Manoj too, sorry, I beg your pardon. And everyone. So do we talk to other people? Yeah, of course we talk to other people. Is it something that everyone is struggling with? Yes, it is something that everyone is struggling with. And I don't think anyone's quite yet found the way to go through.
Yeah, the thought that occurs to me is that I think primarily the users of this product are not traditional developers, in the sense that it is the barrier for them to contribute. Like if you work on JavaScript, contributing to JS is a matter of learning slightly more deep JavaScript. But with Selenium, you have to learn a lot more deep. I mean, generally you learn Selenium so that you can abstract yourself from the gritty details of the code. So that seems to be to me the answer. So, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Cypress. The question is, I keep hearing about the use of non-Selenium testing frameworks, for example, Cypress. What might be an advantage of using Selenium over another framework?
So here are the things that Selenium is very strong at, right? Selenium is very strong at being a cross-browser solution. Okay, so if cross-browser compatibility is something that you're very interested in, that's certainly a reason that you would want to choose Selenium over maybe some other solutions. Another reason or another strength of Selenium is that it is, of course, based on WebDriver. WebDriver being, as we've said many times over the last 2 days, a W3C standard, which means that the technology being used to automate the browser is, at the low level, is being maintained and being developed by the manufacturers of the browser themselves, who, in theory, should be the best people to know how to automate it. And so, to my mind, that is leveraging the best industry knowledge about how to automate the browser by leveraging the people that have created it. And so those are kind of the strengths of Selenium, the way I see it, over potentially other mechanisms of attempting to automate a browser or browser-based testing.
Yeah, I think to me, test automation, it's about you cherry pick, like say 10-15% of automated test cases per the test permit, and you try and automate. So given we said that, it'll be best to use tools that runs your script from outside the process rather than being an inside process, where you actually try to mimic your user experience rather than not trying a tool that may be running inside process. So I think that's one of the advantages from our point of view.
Anybody else?
Yeah. I think Mike, if I may, I'm not sitting, but if I may contribute to that, the thing that I've seen a lot, some of the stuff on Twitter, is that there are a few vendors and a few products out there that call themselves the Selenium killer. And I guess I bristle at that because we're not in competition with anyone. We're not Selenium Incorporated. We're a tool built by a community. And if your tool is better, then that's awesome. We have a W3C spec. We hope that yours is better. But killing us achieves nothing. So, anyway.
The thing that I think, if I was writing those tools, I would be building on top of WebDriver. I'd be lobbying the browser vendors to expose the primitives that are part of the W3C spec, and I would be using the crap out of them so that I could then do the things that are really good. Because those tools are fantastic at the fit and finish that we have been rubbish at having the energy and the capacity to be able to deal with. Like, I always think of Selenium as a library, and that has very clearly influenced the direction that the project travels in. Other people are thinking of it as a tool that testers could use, and that's one of the great strengths of Selenium IDE, but it's also one of the great strengths of some of those other tools that are out there right now. And, you know, it seems foolish to go, I'm a Selenium killer. Well, what you really want to be doing is like, I want to be writing the smallest amount of code that I can in order to move the market forward and do something really interesting. Figuring out how to find an element and click a button, that is a solved problem, and there are primitives in the browsers to do that that are exposed by the W3C protocol. Use those, go and do something interesting, and go and do something better. Like, lift everyone by sort of improving the state of the art.
Absolutely. I'm going to change the order on this a little bit. Do you have any advice on forming a local Selenium group or workshop? I think Titus has been gifted at this in the past, and if anyone else would like to answer, maybe Diego.
I mean, I don't know if I'm gifted at this. I just like talking a lot and about my opinions, and so I just try and find people who might show up and listen to me. Yeah, so I guess I've hosted a couple Selenium meetups in Austin, and it worked a lot better when we had a group of people that were doing kind of a round table. So if you try and take it on all yourself, it can be difficult, but if you can get several people that are willing to host it, and then you can kind of put together a circle or something of like whose turn it is to do stuff, that's what I would recommend, is trying to find other people to help you organize something like that.
And in my case, I helped to run the Selenium meetup in Berlin and also in Hamburg. And what I think that the most important thing to have in your head is to have patience, because in the first ones that you plan, maybe 10 or 15 people will show up, but that number grows slowly. And right now in the Berlin one, we have around 300 people sign up, and we never have big rooms big enough to host the people. So one thing is just to have patience, and the second one is that don't buy food for all the people, just like for half of them, because nobody shows like I mean, you know. So that's a normal rule of thumb, but just have patience and try to find speakers that are encourage them to talk, because in many cases a talk in a meetup could end up as a talk in a conference. So just open the space for people to go and talk, and that's another way to contribute and to get like more diversity into the project.
Great. I'm gonna throw this at Tomer to start with. What is a feature you badly want in Selenium but could not incorporate? I throw it at Tomer because he is now diving in headfirst for the first time, surrounded by brilliant people, and a lot is expected of this young man. So, what are you wishing was in place in Selenium technically that you can't?
Well, I'm not that young. I'm over 20.
How cute.
Anyway, a lot of users of the IDE kind of always asking to have a full page screenshot when the test fails. And currently, you can only take a screenshot of the visible viewport, and you kind of have to hack around scrolling to get the entire thing, and then stitch the buffers. So it would be amazingly great if we could just ask the wire protocol to just give us the entire viewport screenshot.
All right. We actually are running kind of short on time. I'm going to get off stage because this question is a little bit unsafe. What is the average airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
I don't know that. Monty Python reference.
African or European?
The question did not specify. I apologize. Simon, I would like to hear some thoughts very briefly on succession planning. You don't have to say who. What do you have in mind for who will take the reins? Like who would qualify? Do you want it to be one person? Do you have anyone in mind? What are your criteria? Is it up to you?
Me.
I was going to nominate Lucas Tierney in Des Moines, who's probably watching this live right now, because he doesn't want it at all.
It's not really appropriate for me to say. Like, I've led the project and I've set an awful lot of direction, and I think if I were to go and pick someone, it would be apparently Patty.
Patty.
I think it would be coloured by what I want from the project, and what I really want is someone with fresh energy and vision and who wants to take the project in a new and interesting direction. Someone like Tomer.
Yeah.
So my plan is, like, we're going to have a discussion with the current committers, and I think for a while, the current plan at the moment is rotating leadership for a little while, but I'm going to let them figure it out because it's not appropriate for me to say who should do what. And other than Patty and Tomer. And Lucas.
All right. That is actually kind of all the time we have. I want to give, if anyone is feeling particularly ambitious, wants to ask a live question, we could try to get that. Hey, we got one over here, Ed. All right, and this will be the last question, then we got to do a little wrap up.
Hey, I have a really important question for a person who has a really exceptional sense of humor. It's a Tomer. So tell us, what
Why am I so funny?
No. Tell us. That's as well. Tell us, what you will use, tabs or spaces? Or both.
I'm definitely stepping away for this one.
So expand tab soap 2, if that makes sense.
Okay. Thank you.
I happen to agree.
Well done.
Okay, excellent. I want to thank everyone on the panel for sitting here suffering such abuse from me. And thank everyone in the audience. This has been great. And now we're going to wrap up. Wanted to remind everyone that SeleniumConf Tokyo is happening in April. Call for papers is open, correct?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. I'm Nozomi from Tokyo. Yeah. Yes, I want to introduce about the next conference, SeleniumConf Tokyo. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever been to Japan? Oh, few people. Yeah, but no problem. The next conference is a very good opportunity to visit Japan. Yeah. Now we are preparing for next conference, and our website, conference website, and CFP is already open. So please post your paper. Yeah. And we are also searching for additional sponsor company. So if you are interested in sponsorship, please contact us from website. Yes. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this is, yeah, I'm very proud of we can have such good conference in Japan. Yeah, so we are looking forward to all of you seeing next conference in Japan. Thank you.
We are all looking forward to that, absolutely. All right, well now is the, go ahead, Ashley.
No, keep going.
Now is the time where we actually get to announce the next Selenium conference. So next April will be Tokyo, and October, we're going to London.
Really not a secret. We're the worst secret keepers ever.
It's a very poorly kept secret.
Yeah, we got one more wrap up for both of those conferences for the next slide. Do you have the clicker, Marcus?
Yeah, got it.
We are partnering with Speakeasy again. So this was, to me, a tremendous success. We love finding new voices. We love introducing new people into our community. And what we do here is, as we said before the lunch break, you know, we were able to partner with a program that values this so much. They provide one-on-one mentorship with new speakers. And we had 2 speakers from this one. We dedicate a spot for you. We had amazing submissions in. We actually chose 2. So it was fantastic to be able to offer this. I couldn't tell that they were first-time speakers. I don't know about you. I thought they did a phenomenal job. But from getting the ideas generated to what to submit, to creating your submission for the call for proposal, to working out your talk, to rehearsing it, you get an amazing opportunity here to pair with people like Bob Galen, Marit, Manoj, I believe you're a mentor, Andrew's been a mentor. You get so much from that, and there's so many amazing people willing to help introduce your voice into the community. So please go to speaking-easy.com, sign up to be a mentee. If you have a lot of experience, they also would like mentors. So it's such a valuable way to give back to the community, whether it's the testing community, the automation community, whatever that might be. It's just a good way to give your time. So yeah, I'm really excited to have that partnership again.
Once again, I wanted to talk about #causescene.com. It's the website that Kim Creighton has started to help organizations understand how to increase their diversity and inclusion. And we are absolutely, once again, dedicated to helping that cause. Please visit their site. And
do they ship worldwide?
They ship worldwide, I believe. And they are selling T-shirts. You can buy them from her shop right now. All right. Thank you for, once again, to all of our suppliers. These are the folks without whom this conference really would not be able to function. And I always like to do this. I want to pause 5 seconds to give our stenographers a chance to rest their fingers. They're so great. They're so great. All right, and Adam in the back, he always runs such a great AV crew. Right?
Yeah, thank you, AV. We could not do this without any of you. And photographers. We'll be posting pictures soon from the conference, so thank you very much to our photographer.
I also want to do kind of an unscheduled round of applause. There's a gentleman who helps us so much with the committee. He's basically a third co-chair. Andrew Krug does huge amounts of legwork for us. And there's literally nothing he hasn't done at every level of this conference at every point. So we want to thank him so much for everything he does.
And of course, our video. I think one of the things that I really love about Selenium Conference is that we offer not only the live streaming, but also this will all be going for free on our YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that link. And I really love that we provide those talks for free to everybody.
This is Andrew, by the way.
And also not to mention, so Ashley, Marcus, and Andrew has been helping run the conference. We all know that. But this time we tried trialing out having a Skype video calls. Not only the initial abstract is enough to judge how the paper is, but these guys used to literally be awake at 5 a.m. in the morning and then do the video calls. So that's dedicated they are. And again, a huge round of applause for Andrew and Ashley to make that happen.
And to all of our volunteers, if you're in the room, please stand up. They're all policing, yes, okay, well. But Lydia or Sir Harold?
Yeah, we'll get it. We want to remind everyone, I think there's a box outside. You drop your lanyards in if you want to recycle them. Yeah, if you don't want to keep, yeah. If they're going to go in the garbage, we'd rather you put them in the box. And White October events, we would have both pulled our hair out bald if we didn't work with White October to put these events on. So
yeah, I can't say enough good things about you. So if you're running a conference, just give Megan a call.
I mean, between Ashley and White October events, we have learned how to add some amount of diversity to our speaker core. Our goal for a long time was to make our speaker core reflect what we see in the audience. And a few of us were sort of sitting around for years wondering, how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we do that? White October, Ashley Huntzberger, several other folks helped us. It's not just how to sit around and hope better. It is actual things that are actionable and doable that you can make happen to realize all the changes that you want to make. And it absolutely worked. So I want to thank them again. White October is the most amazing event planning org ever. Thank you, everyone. That's kind of a wrap.
That's it.
I want to think once again how much we appreciate everyone coming out.
Yes, thank you. You don't have to stay here. Go. Leave.
Don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.